Now, Season 4 of Diablo 2 Resurrected is finally upon us. Depending on when you watch this, it's either just about to launch or it probably just has launched. Well, I'm in a little bit of a predicament here. Which character should I play for this Season 4? I've got a few ideas, and I'm going to go over the reasons why I want to try each one, and maybe you could use some of my own rationale to decide what character you're going to start Season 4 with. Now, these are in no particular order. They're just actually 4 builds that I'm really contemplating playing here for Season 4. The first one up is the Fist of the Heavens Paladin. Now, what are the main reasons why I would want to use this as my ladder starter here? Now, first off, it is a very, very good build with extremely budget gear. You get a ton of your damage just straight from the skill points that you put into your skill tree. Then later on, you can make this character even more powerful when you get things like the Heart of the Oak, when you get your Enigma, and many other types of piece of gear to really boost up your damage and survivability. Now, as we're talking about survivability, Paladins are known for easily stacking resistance because on your Paladin shield, the regular base that you would make something like, we'll say, a Spirit in, which is incredibly cheap, can have up to 45 res, which makes it really easy to cap your resistances on a Paladin. On top of that, Fist of the Heavens doesn't have a ton of synergies or a ton of other skills that you need to get the damage essentially maxed out on that skill. What you can do is use the extra points to either like sort of dual spec. Maybe you can get a point down to like Smite. That means you can pretty much go out and take out Declone with almost no problem at all. Along with talking about the resistances helping out your safety, because Fist of Heavens you can hit from very far away, you are really not in much danger at all, because you can snipe monsters all the way across the map. If you are returning from an older version of Diablo 2, it is important to note that in one of the recent patches, they changed Fist of the Heavens and the Blessed Holy Bolt to deal damage to undead and also now to demons. And that's like 85% of all the monsters in the game. There are some monsters considered beasts, but it's really not that many. And for those monsters, when you come across them, you can either use that Smite, which will deal some damage with the Crushing Blow and things like that that you have on, and your Mercenary can help take those out if you decide not to skip them. But this build rocks in terror zones. It rocks in places that are absolute staples for farming in Diablo 2 Resurrected. Chaos Sanctuary. It works good in the pits. It really is a great budget character. And then, like I said, it gets even more powerful later. Next up is the Fire Trap Assassin. Now, generally people would do the lightning traps, but because of how they changed some of the next hit delay here in this new season, the fire traps could be even more viable. And here's something to note. It's going to be kind of interesting if I do end up playing a pretty much brand new build. I've dabbled around with fire traps a little bit just to show that they did work when they got a damage boost here in Diablo 2 Resurrected, but I haven't really extensively played it. Now, fire traps were always extremely limited on where they could farm because there's so many fire immunes in Hell difficulty. You'd be stuck with like Eldritch and Shank, maybe hopping down to the pits, or there is always the Spider Cavern, but that was about it. But things have changed semi-recently anyways with the introduction of Sunder Charms. Now you can at least break the immunity of the fire immunes, allowing those fire traps to take them out. So even though you are using these fire traps, it's probably always a pretty good idea to go ahead and throw down a Death Sentry anyways to get that corpse explosion because it is so crazy powerful. Now the main skill to do a ton of damage is Wake of Fire. Now back before they made these new changes for the patch, you used to only be able to really throw down 2 of them, and then as those 2 would hit, the next hit delay would cause any more of those traps to not really do any damage. But now with that change, you should be able to throw down maybe 4 or all 5 of these Wake of Fire traps and deal out twice as much or more damage. The explanation of the next hit delay is a little bit wonky. There's 30 or 40 different videos out already explaining it, so I'm not going to go over it fully. Feel free to go ahead and look one of those up on YouTube. But that next hit delay is really going to help out that Fire Trap Assassin. Next up is a build that literally nobody has ever tried before, and it definitely was not used very much last season. And that's the Nova Sorceress. Yep, I'm not really that funny. Everybody was using the Nova Sorceress last season, but the same reason everybody used it last season is the same reason I want to use it this season. The build just fucking rocks. You can get a crazy ton of damage when you're rocking Infinity, when you're rocking Griffins, you're plugging in Facets, getting a ton of minus enemy lightning res. On top of that, Nova skill only has it. It's got the 1 synergy, it's got the lightning mastery, and that's kind of all you got to max out to completely cap the damage for Nova. So that leaves you a ton of points left over to do what most people do, and that is maxing out energy shield and its synergy. If you build this character with the best possible endgame gear, you are wrecking everything almost instantly, and you are essentially invincible. If you've never seen the modern Nova Sorceress in action, I really implore you to check out some build guides and some gameplay, because the rate at which your health regenerates, if you do end up losing any health, you get a ton of mana regen from rocking an insight on your mercenary, and just the damage output is crazy. And of course, every sorceress has the most powerful skill in the entire game, and that is teleport. It really allows you to farm any location in the entire game the fastest out of any character. Yes, other characters can get Enigma, but that costs 2 high runes, and you got teleport from day one, baby. And the AoE damage, there is something to be said about never really having to aim. You just kind of teleport sort of near the monster and start flashing. So yeah, this build is a lazy build. You don't really have to pay attention a whole lot because you have so much survivability and the AoE damage. It works good with budget gear. It works crazy good with the endgame gear. There really isn't much downsides to this build, with the exception of it's just another sorceress. And let's be honest, if you've been playing this game for a long time, you've probably done a lot of sorceress. And the fourth one up here is going to be the final one that I'm kind of considering, but I'm going to need some talking into it. So head down in the comments if you want to try to talk me into doing this one. Sort of want to, and that is starting the ladder with a Barbarian. Now, the Barbarian is one of the toughest to play through, and early on with kind of budget gear, it's very, very tough character in my experience. But it has what is kind of close to teleport as one of the most powerful skills in the game if you're out there magic finding anyways, and that is the find item skill. Really, you could get out there and farm items and even find high runes without ever killing a monster. You could hop into a game and kind of just follow at a safe distance behind people. They get the initial kill, they take what they want, and then you come up and just use the item find over and over on all the monsters and see what happens. Another good thing about the item find skill, it has nothing to do with the player's count in the game. The number of items that drop is solely based upon the percentage you get from the actual skill. So you can hop out and do things like run Trav, which is known for high runes and jewelry and things like that, and then pop the item find on. The council members are as weak as they're really ever going to get because you're in a game by yourself, but you could be getting a 75 or 80% drop chance on the second chance drop from the find item skill. Part of why I'm thinking I may want to try to start ladder with this character is I've never started a ladder with the Barbarian before, with the exception of the very first time I've ever played Diablo. I actually went with the Barbarian, but back then I didn't know what I was doing, had no knowledge, and I'll just be honest, it didn't really go that well. Couple quick requests from me. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe up if you're new. You never miss any of the future Diablo 2 and eventually D4 videos. And let me know down in the comments, which character do you think I should start with, and why do you think so? Hey, for extra points, go ahead and put down in the comments section what character you're starting the ladder with. Peace out, fellas, and don't forget, keep slaying.